President Biden there discussing yesterday the supply chain crisis, consumer prices across America, but the supply chain issue persists and prices continue to skyrocket. We all know this. Joining us now to discuss, tax attorney Rebecca Walzer. Also with us, prosecutor and Newsmax columnist Wendy Patrick and former White House senior advisor Paul Chabot. Great to see our panelists this Friday. Happy end of the week, everyone. We have made it. Wendy, we'll start with you. What did you make of the tone of the president's delivery yesterday and also his message? Did they seem to understand where Americans are right now and the struggles they might face when it comes to increased costs?
You know, Emma and Sean, I feel like I have the same answer when we inject a bit of behavioral analysis into what the president says, what he means, what he thinks, and who's writing the script. You know, one of the things we always worry is that he doesn't sufficiently understand the magnitude of the issues facing the country. I believe that if he actually understood a little bit more about the bipartisan kitchen table issues facing the country, like gas prices, supply chain, bare shelves at the grocery store. We haven't seen these problems for years. If he really understood a little bit more of that, he could probably do what he does best. One of his traits that I think is the most endearing is his ability to be empathetic. But he has to understand the problem and know the tenor and tone of that announcement, as with so many others, simply wasn't reaching the people in the way I think it otherwise could have.
You actually set me up for my next soundbite when you talk about empathy and trying to really connect with an everyday American and really what they're going through. Here's Biden from yesterday.
Every time I get a chance, I go home to Delaware. You think I'm joking? I'm not.
A quick bite there, but again, you may remember former President Trump used to get endless criticism for going to somewhere to relax, Mar-a-Lago, or for playing golf. We've got crises happening here in the States again. Is he, Paul Chabot, is he resonating with Americans by saying, I'm trying to go back to my beautiful place in Delaware every chance I get?
No, and I think many of us wish he would kind of stay there for a while and let a new president take over. We wouldn't be where we are today with this mess. Look, I'm in Texas, and we're paying about $3.20 right now a gallon, which is pretty uncalled for in Texas. And in many gas stations that I've been to, you'll see little stickers of Biden with a finger pointing to the price of gas saying, I did this. For Biden to talk about his home, well, look, he has the Secret Service to fill up his tank or his Air Force One. Americans don't. They got to dig deeper into their pocketbook every single time, and that is taking money away from food on the table and other necessities at a time in our country when there's great uncertainty, all due to the failures of this administration.
Yeah, look at that. I think we stopped by the same gas station you did. Paul, we've got that image there. Rebecca, this whole idea that inflation was transitory or it was only a high-class problem has been proven untrue time and time again as the CPI just continues to increase.
Yeah, Emma, and the PPI came out this week and it was 9.1% in December year over year, and now it's 9.7%. So that just lets us know that more pain is going to trickle down because that's the wholesale pricing, and it will trickle down now to the consumer pricing. So Powell came out this week and said, it's going to take a year for this inflation to sort of abate. But of course, it's not going to abate as long as they continue buying money, which is what they're still doing, and keeping low interest rates. So we know that they're going to sort of go from stimulus to, running off their balance sheet, and they're going to, raise interest rates. So the market's not going to like that. That's going to make things even, unfortunately, worse. So I do see, unfortunately, things getting worse ahead before they actually do get better. And I'm sorry to say that. I feel like Wendy, like I say the same thing, because the circumstances don't seem to be getting better. They seem to maybe be deteriorating. So we have a lot of work ahead of us.
Yeah, still in the red this morning. I'm just checking the markets right now, so we'll continue to monitor that. Panelists, big discussion coming up. Stick around if you can.
Welcome back. A Manhattan judge ruling former President Trump and his children, Ivanka and Don Jr., have 21 days to appear for depositions in New York Attorney General Letitia James's investigation into the Trump Organization's business dealings.
And James has been saying when it comes to Trump, no one is above the law, not even the president. That's what she's been saying. Back as our panelists. We've got rapid reactions here. Rebecca, Wendy, and Paul. Wendy, I'll start with you. Reaction to this, the AG pushing hard to get the former president and his children on record.
Right. Just a rapid reaction. There are both civil and criminal cases open into the Trump organization, and forcing sworn testimony basically could implicate both. And that's part of the outrage. And that's part of why the Trump organization and their lawyers are fighting back as hard as they are. Let's see if they can win and appeal this order.
Yeah, really quick for you, Wendy. Do we think pleading the fifth would be an approach we could see?
I cannot imagine the president pleading the fifth. We talked about that with the impeachment proceedings. I think there'll be an alternate solution.
Okay. All right. Let's pivot now to Paul. I wanted to get your take on this headline coming out. The Federalist First reporting that Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy said he's actually supporting Harriet Hageman's bid to unseat Rep. Liz Cheney in this year's Republican Party. So again, this is like the first time we're hearing the minority leader is actually supporting the opponent to Liz Cheney here. Your thoughts on that decision?
It's probably not too surprising to many now, just based on what you saw in her home state and her home state GOP turning against her as well. So this is probably a long time coming when you look at the relationship the two had and the souring of that over Trump and the January 6th issue. So to see the political sort of turn of tides here is probably not too difficult to understand.
Rebecca, I want to go back to that first story in the Trump organization and the attempt by the AG to get them to speak under oath. What is this going to happen?
Sean, I have a tendency to think no. Like Wendy, I think there'll be an alternative solution. Obviously Trump doesn't have executive privilege on matters that don't regard the state and his government role. So his organization certainly can be sued and can be brought into depositions. But this is very unusual, and I do think that the powers that be will negotiate some sort of politically acceptable relationship between at least the president himself and this litigation. The children are potentially a different matter, but we will see something else. And this is not the final say. Obviously, it will get appealed. It could even go and be pulled up to the federal level if they think there's jurisdictional issues there. So we'll see, but I don't think it's the final say. So no, I wouldn't expect it anytime soon.
Wendy, do you think we could see this at the federal level?
I think certainly they're going to appeal it as much as they can. Remember, when you're looking for verbal missteps or contradictory assertions, that's very important given that there's a criminal case pending as well. So for that reason alone, Emma and Sean, I think it's worthy of an appeal, and I think that's exactly the direction it's headed.
All right. Wendy Patrick, Rebecca Walzer, and Paul Chabot, panelists, thanks so much for weighing in on these topics.